Listen closely, because this message is not ordinary. Today God speaks directly, offering a one and final warning, a call that echoes through time, unseen but undeniable. This is not wrath, it is love disguised as urgency. It is the universe nudging you awake, asking you to notice before life slips into chaos or regret. I am Shihing Yi, and in this video, we will explore how divine guidance touches the quiet corners of our minds, and how Shaolin wisdom holds keys to hearing it clearly. You will learn how stillness can become a doorway to insight, how vigilance shapes awareness, and how subtle choices can redirect your life toward harmony and purpose. Few understand that ancient Shaolin masters practiced not just martial arts, but a discipline of consciousness. They trained the mind to awaken before danger, before distraction, before loss. This is the practice that allows us to recognize divine warnings in our everyday lives, in moments too small to seem important, yet carrying profound meaning. Throughout this journey, I will reveal principles rarely spoken of, techniques to sharpen inner awareness, to align breath with intention, and to cultivate the inner silence where guidance can be heard most clearly. These are not abstract ideas. They are tools that can transform ordinary life into a path of clarity and mastery. Stay with me until the end, because each insight builds on the last, creating a map for awakening that is both practical and deeply spiritual. By the time this message finishes, you will understand why paying attention now can change everything. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If this message resonates, subscribe to join a path of inner strength, insight, and transformation. The call is here. The moment is now. There is a sound deeper than any voice, a presence that speaks when the world falls quiet. In silence, the mind begins to breathe freely, and the heart opens to messages often drowned in noise. Silence is not emptiness. It is a vessel, a sacred space where the subtle guidance of the universe can enter without distortion. In Shaolin practice, stillness is trained as carefully as any physical form. The masters would sit for hours, not moving, not speaking, simply observing. They understood that in this stillness, the mind becomes a mirror, reflecting truths hidden beneath distraction. Thoughts come and go like clouds across the sky, and yet the space between them holds clarity. This is where wisdom whispers, where intuition grows strong, where divine signals can be seen clearly. Everyday life rarely offers such quiet, yet it is within these small pockets of awareness that transformation begins. Pausing, even for a few moments, allows one to notice the rise and fall of emotions, the flicker of fleeting thoughts, the subtle currents of energy within and around us. These observations are not exercises in judgment. They are invitations to understanding, to recognizing patterns, and to seeing life as it truly is. When the world pulls you into haste or fear, return to silence. Sit with your breath, watch without interference. Let your mind settle like water in a still pond. In that reflection, the smallest ripple can reveal immense truth. The Shaolin way teaches that mastery over the external world begins with mastery of the inner, and the first door to this mastery is silence. Each pause is a step deeper, a chance to hear what is not spoken, a place where divine messages meet the one prepared to listen. There is a rhythm that moves quietly within every living being, a pulse older than thought itself. Breath carries us through life, yet few truly feel its depth. It is more than air. It is the bridge connecting body, mind, and spirit. In every inhale and exhale, there lies a doorway to presence, a thread that links the ordinary to the extraordinary. Ancient masters understood this deeply. In the Shaolin tradition, breath was not a passive act, but a disciplined practice, a tool for cultivating awareness and shaping energy. They would count each inhalation and exhalation, tracing the flow of life force through their bodies, observing how it stirred the mind, calmed agitation, and sharpened perception. Breath became a guide, steadying the turbulent mind, revealing the subtle currents that govern emotion and thought. Mindful breathing allows the reactive impulses that so often govern behavior to soften. Anger, fear, and restlessness arise. Yet a conscious exhale releases them, clearing space for clarity. Each pause between breaths is an invitation to witness the present, to feel the body alive, and to sense the invisible threads connecting all things. Beyond calm and clarity, breath serves as alignment. When inhaled with awareness, it draws energy upward, nourishing spirit. When exhaled with intention, it releases tension, letting life flow unhindered. This simple yet profound practice aligns us with the higher currents of existence, as if each breath whispers guidance from a force larger than ourselves. To master the self, one must first master the breath. It is both anchor and compass, grounding the body while pointing the mind towards stillness and insight. The ancient wisdom of mindful breathing reminds that every moment offers a choice to drift in distraction or to return to the quiet power of the present, one breath at a time. Life moves in cycles, quietly repeating itself until the lessons within are understood. Patterns emerge, not as punishment, but as guidance, a reflection of choices made and paths taken. The universe speaks in rhythm, and the attentive mind can hear its subtle messages. Each encounter, each challenge, is a thread in the intricate tapestry of learning. The Shaolin tradition teaches that action without observation is like striking in the dark. A master first watches, listens, and senses the flow of energy around and within. Only then does action follow, precise and intentional. This principle applies beyond martial forms. It applies to life itself. Before reacting to anger, fear, or temptation, observe the pattern that brought it forth. See how it has appeared before, how it affects thought and emotion, and recognize the choices that have fueled its return. Self-mastery begins with this clear sight. When behaviors and decisions are recognized, they lose their unconscious power. Repeated mistakes become opportunities for reflection rather than regret. Awareness transforms repetition into insight, and insight becomes the foundation for deliberate action. This is the quiet discipline that shapes character over time. In daily life, moments of frustration, impatience, or doubt are not random, they are signals. Patterns show where energy is misdirected, where intention falters, or where the mind drifts from purpose. To notice them is to reclaim authority over one's own path. With practice, the eye of observation sharpens, and choices no longer come from habit or impulse, but from wisdom and clarity. Ancient masters understood that mastery of the self is the most difficult and rewarding pursuit. It requires patience, honesty, and a willingness to confront one's own patterns without judgment. In this space of awareness, each decision becomes a step toward freedom, and each pattern recognized becomes a teacher, guiding the way to inner strength and lasting harmony. Discipline is the quiet heartbeat of a life aligned with purpose. It is not punishment or rigidity, but the steady path that turns intention into reality. God's warning calls not for panic, but for consistent action, a gentle yet urgent reminder that growth requires commitment and awakening demands practice. In the wisdom of Shaolin, discipline was never separate from daily life. Every movement, every breath, every task was approached with intention. Masters understood that the body, mind, and spirit are shaped not in grand gestures, but in the repetition of small, conscious acts. Daily rituals, prayer, meditation, mindful work become more than habits. They become a bridge between the ordinary and the sacred, a way to cultivate resilience, clarity, and inner power. Consistency creates strength. The mind learns focus, the body gains endurance, and the spirit attunes to the subtle currents of life. When practiced over time, discipline sharpens perception, allowing one to act not from impulse but from understanding. Even simple tasks, sweeping the floor, preparing a meal, tending to the body become moments of meditation, opportunities to align action with awareness. True mastery grows in this rhythm of repetition. It is in rising each morning with intention, in pausing to breathe when tension arises, in returning to practice even when distractions pull the mind elsewhere. These choices, made quietly and consistently, forge a foundation that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Ancient sages knew that discipline is the backbone of freedom. It transforms chaos into order, fear into courage, and distraction into clarity. By embracing daily structure and mindful practice, life itself becomes a teacher. Every moment becomes an opportunity to strengthen the self, to cultivate patience, and to align fully with the higher currents of existence. Discipline is not merely action, it is devotion, a sacred rhythm that shapes the soul. The heaviest chains we carry are often invisible. Anger held from yesterday, fear of what may come, regret that clings like shadow. Each thought, each emotion occupies space in the mind and weighs down the spirit. True freedom begins with release. Letting go does not mean surrendering strength. It means clearing the path for clarity, for guidance that cannot reach a heart crowded with burdens. Shaolin masters understood this deeply. They practiced not only physical discipline but mental purification. The mind, like a garden, must be tended, weeds pulled, and soil cleared so that seeds of insight can grow. Holding on to past grievances or imagined fears blocks the flow of energy, distorts perception, and dulls the senses that discern truth. Release is not loss, it is preparation. It is creating space for awareness to expand, for wisdom to emerge, and for life's currents to guide without obstruction. The process of letting go begins with observation. Notice the emotions that rise and linger, the repetitive thoughts that pull attention away from the present. Acknowledge them without judgment. Then, gently redirect focus to breath, to body, to the present moment. With each conscious exhale, tension loosens and the mind becomes lighter. This is the discipline of release, a daily practice of recognizing what no longer serves and allowing it to drift away like leaves on a stream. In this clearing, the subtle whispers of guidance become audible. The heart becomes open, the mind flexible, the spirit receptive. Ancient wisdom teaches that clarity cannot coexist with clutter. By shedding the weight of attachments, by releasing what is no longer needed, the soul regains its natural rhythm. This is the quiet strength of mastery, a mastery not of control over the world, but over the mind, where true freedom begins and divine insight can flow unhindered. Compassion begins quietly, often unnoticed, yet its influence is profound. It is more than empathy. It is the deliberate choice to honor the humanity in oneself and in others. True mastery does not come from strength alone, but from the ability to move through the world with kindness, even in the face of challenge. Each thought, each word, each action leaves ripples, and these ripples often return in ways that reveal lessons we might otherwise overlook. Shaolin philosophy teaches that the path of discipline is incomplete without the cultivation of the heart. Observing one's own behavior and the effects it has on others is a form of inner training. When irritation or resentment arises, it becomes a mirror reflecting the work still to be done within. Divine messages frequently come not as grand revelations, but as subtle prompts to the way our actions intersect with the lives of others. To ignore them is to ignore guidance. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools in this journey. It is often misunderstood as weakness, but in truth, it is an act of immense strength. Forgiving does not erase what has occurred, nor does it condone harm. It simply releases the hold that pain and anger have on the mind, clearing space for clarity, insight, and wisdom. In letting go of judgment, the spirit becomes lighter, the mind sharper, and the heart open to guidance that cannot penetrate a chest weighed down with bitterness. Compassion and forgiveness are disciplines of their own, cultivated through reflection and conscious effort. Each moment of understanding, each act of letting go strengthens the connection between self and the greater currents of life. Through these practices, mastery is not measured by power over others, but by the freedom of the self, the clarity of perception, and the gentle strength to act with intention, guided by wisdom rather than impulse. True strength is rarely seen in the muscles or the outward display of force. The most enduring power rises quietly from within, nurtured by patience, discipline, and conscious cultivation. In the Shaolin tradition, this inner strength is known as Neigong, the art of refining energy, steadying the mind, and harmonizing body and spirit. It is a practice that transforms subtle awareness into tangible resilience, preparing the practitioner to meet life's trials with calm and clarity. Neigong begins with the breath, the anchor of energy flowing steadily through the body. Each inhalation draws vitality inward. Each exhalation releases tension and distraction. Movement is deliberate, slow and mindful, training the circulation of qi, the life force, throughout every limb and organ. This is not exercise for appearance, but cultivation for inner alignment. Over time, the mind grows focused, the emotions tempered, and the body becomes a vessel capable of sustaining quiet power. Through disciplined practice, fear loses its grip. Challenges, warnings, and sudden trials no longer evoke panic or resistance. Instead, they are met with presence and discernment. The cultivated energy within acts as both shield and compass, offering insight into how to respond rather than react. The more consistently Neigong is practiced, the more this inner power becomes a natural state, a source of confidence rooted not in ego but in harmony with the body, mind, and spirit. Ancient masters understood that true mastery is invisible to the eye. It is patience in action, resilience under pressure, and clarity when the world demands response. Inner strength is not achieved overnight. It is the product of daily practice, awareness, and a willingness to confront one's own limits. By turning inward, nurturing energy, and refining focus, one discovers a power that endures, allowing life's messages, however urgent or challenging, to be met without fear, with wisdom, and with unwavering presence. Time flows silently, unstoppable, carrying each life forward like a river toward the unknown. Every moment is fleeting, every breath a gift that will not return. Divine messages often arrive with urgency because they recognize the impermanence of existence. They call for reflection, for clarity, for action before opportunity fades into memory. In the Shaolin tradition, mindfulness of time was central to every practice. Masters moved with awareness, understanding that each breath, each step, and each movement carried meaning. The present was sacred, not because it was long, but because it was all that truly existed. To waste it in distraction or regret was to miss the lesson that life itself is teaching. Awareness of mortality sharpens perception. It transforms ordinary moments into precious chances for insight, growth, and alignment with higher purpose. This awareness does not create fear, but attentiveness. When one recognizes the brevity of life, priorities become clear, and actions gain depth. Small gestures, simple words, and daily rituals take on weight. Presence in each moment becomes a discipline, a training ground for inner mastery. Through this lens, every task, no matter how mundane, becomes an opportunity to practice patience, compassion, and focused intention. Time once observed is no longer an enemy but a guide. It teaches that hesitation can mean loss, that procrastination clouds clarity, and that conscious action is the only path toward meaningful transformation. Life's impermanence is not a burden but an invitation to live awake, to honor the sacred rhythm of existence, and to allow each decision to resonate with awareness. Shaolin wisdom reminds that mastery is cultivated not in grand events, but in consistent presence. Every breath, every step, every choice becomes a sacred act. The more present we are, the more attuned we become to the subtle currents of life, to divine guidance, and to the fleeting beauty of existence that waits to be fully embraced. Wisdom without action is like water held in a closed vessel. It exists, but it cannot nourish. True understanding unfolds only when knowledge is lived, when lessons are woven into the fabric of daily life. Each principle, each insight becomes powerful only through repeated practice, through the quiet discipline of bringing awareness into every moment. The Shaolin path emphasizes this integration. Breath, silence, compassion, discipline, and presence are not merely studied, they are enacted. Thoughts, words, and actions are aligned, forming a harmony between inner intention and outward expression. When anger arises, it is met with awareness. When fear appears, it is observed and released. When opportunity presents itself, it is met with clarity and purpose. This alignment is not instantaneous, but cultivated through mindful repetition. Every conscious choice carries weight. The way one speaks, the way one moves through the day, the care taken in small decisions, all of these shape the connection to life's higher currents. Divine guidance often whispers in subtle ways, and the mind trained through consistent practice is able to perceive it. By integrating lessons into routine, the extraordinary is discovered within the ordinary, and sacred awareness permeates even the simplest actions. This integration is a form of inner mastery. It requires patience, self-discipline, and a willingness to return again and again to the principles, even when distraction or fatigue tempts the mind to wander. Over time, these practices become second nature, and life itself becomes a reflection of wisdom. The true measure of mastery is not in grand gestures, but in the subtle consistency of living with intention. Each moment becomes a practice, each choice an offering, and each day a step closer to harmony. By embodying the lessons learned, the path is made clear, and the connection to guidance, divine, inner, or universal, is strengthened, steady, and unbroken. God's final warning is not a threat, it is a call to awaken, to see clearly, and to act with intention. It asks us to pause, reflect, and recognize the guidance that flows quietly through every moment of life. By practicing silence, mindful breathing, disciplined action, compassion, and inner strength, we open ourselves to higher wisdom and a deeper understanding of our path. Personal mastery is not achieved in a single moment, but through consistent, mindful steps. Each choice, each conscious action shapes our awareness and strengthens our connection to the divine currents guiding us. The lessons shared today are not meant to remain ideas. They are meant to be lived, integrated into every breath, every movement, and every interaction. Take these principles into your daily life. Pause when the world rushes, breathe when tension rises, act with clarity, and approach yourself and others with kindness. In doing so, life transforms into a practice of awakening, and the path toward harmony becomes clear and steady. Thank you for joining us today. May these teachings guide you toward calm, insight, and inner strength. If this message resonates, subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and continue walking the path of mindful mastery with us. Peace and presence be with you.